Yay.
Puts it right on his forehead to give it going. Another good save by Hart. On the draw, you see it come.
I see Chelsea talking. Does she know she's muted?
Nope, nobody tells me. I don't know how that happened. Where did you guys last be able to hear me? Thank you, Robert.
Chelsea, we cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I hear you. This is
Yeah.
Stephanie.
Okay.
I hear you, Pam.
It was muted on and off for some reason. Zoom is a little weird today. Okay, where did we go?
We still cannot hear you, Chelsea.
So Maria, you can't hear me? And Richard can hear me, Stephanie can hear me.
I can hear you. It's Shannon.
Okay,
I can hear you.
all right. I'm gonna do my best to keep going. Maria can't hear me though. Shannon, could you put in the chat to Maria that others can hear me?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and move on and move introductions to the next person on my screen, which looks to be Lynn. Go ahead, Lynn.
Hello, I'm Lynn, preferred pronoun she, her. I've lived in the neighborhood for 20-something years. I'm the treasurer of the board. And that's it.
All right, next on my screen, I see Shannon.
Hi, I'm Shannon Kane. I'm the vice chair of the BDNA, and I've lived in the neighborhood for almost 4 years, and I have an urban farm here and do a lot of stuff with like urban farming and food justice stuff.
Thank you, Shannon. Next on my screen, I see Stephanie.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Frederick. I am the chair of the Land Use Committee and a board member. I have lived here for about 3.5 years now. And I love my neighborhood association and my neighborhood. And thank you.
All right, next on my screen, I see Maria.
Hi, my name is Maria, she, her. I have lived in the neighborhood for about 4 years coming up now, and I have been a part of the BDNA and the Land Use and Transportation Committee since probably this summer, I would roughly say, so I'm pretty new myself.
All right, thank you. Laura Lee, you're next.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now? Hi, I'm Laura Lee. I have lived in Portland for about 22 years now. And I've been in Brentwood-Darlington for 7.5 years. And I am just starting to get involved with the neighborhood association.
Awesome. Derek, you're next on my screen.
Okay, my name's Derek Covey, preferred pronouns he and him. And This is not my first meeting. I've lived in the neighborhood since 2012. I'm a board member and I'm active in outreach to new neighbors. And that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Derek. Tina, you're next on my list.
I'm Tina. I'm indifferent on my pronouns, so call me what you want, you know, go figure. I've lived in the neighborhood off and on since 1999. I'm the chair for the Emergency Preparedness and Sustainability Committee.
Thanks, Tina. Pam, I think you're next on my screen.
Hello, I'm Pam Hodge, she, her pronouns, and I am born and raised in Brentwood-Darlington, am on the board and serve as the representative to Southeast Uplift, and also serve on the Transportation Committee, Land Use Transportation Committee.
Excellent, thank you. Let's see. I think I see Gail here, but signed in as Richard. Are you able to talk tonight? Let's see. Oh, Gail's in the chat. She's Gail and pronoun free. And I can tell you that Gail is one of our longest serving board members and is the miracle worker behind Movies in the Park, among other things. Next on my list, let's see. Have I missed any board members? All right, community members, we'll ask you to do the same thing, but you can pass if you would like to. I'll start with, let's see, next on my list is Annie. All right. What about Sabina? Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Sabina. I'm the chair of the Lentz Neighborhood Association, and I'm just here to make a community announcement. Thank you for allowing me to do that.
Welcome. Robert?
Good evening. I'm Robert Schultz. I'm a Lentz resident on the LNA board as public safety. I'm also a NET member. I'm also on the EPAP as a co-chair of the grants committee. I'm the Lentz Fair organizer for the event. I'm an assistant scoutmaster in Troop 351. We do a tree sale right there off of 39th and Powell, or 44th and Powell. And I'm a full-time single father of 3, and I volunteer a whole bunch. And I think the last time I was involved with you guys was the last time we did anything in person, which was the amazing candidates forum you guys hosted, and I got to help you guys with that. It was super. And I'm here obviously with Sabina, hoping to learn a little from you guys. It's great the way you put this together. And of course we have the announcement. So thank you for having me.
Welcome, Robert. Good to see you. Maybe we should do a virtual debate. Anybody up for that kind of craziness?
Yes.
Anyway, let's keep going with this before I get us off track. Let's see, who have I missed? I see Scott. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi there. I'm just logging on, so I don't see exactly what we're doing, but I can introduce myself. My name is Scott. Name and preferred pronouns, he and him. Is this your first meeting? No. How long have you lived, worked, owned a business in the neighborhood? I have a neighborhood project that we're doing about improving right-of-ways for a few months now. How did you hear about BDNA? By living in the neighborhood for a while. Anything else? Nope.
Thank you so much. Let's see, Jean, did you want to introduce yourself? You're off mute, Jean. Can you try talking? All right.
It is.
Oh, there you are. Welcome.
There I am. Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm Jean Blackmore. I've been around here for a long time, and I'm trying to get hip enough to be on Zoom.
We are better for having you, Jean. Welcome. All right. Did I miss anybody? The list constantly changes on me, so let me know if I missed anyone who wanted to introduce themselves. Okay. let's go ahead and move on. Second screen. All right, just a reminder, and you can access this slideshow at Brentwood-Darlington.org/about/public-records, and Maria will put that link in the chat. But we're just a little about hosting our meetings virtually. Last month we included some not necessarily universal, but as helpful as we could find graphics to kind of help those who are newer to Zoom. This is what your controls might look like if you're on a computer, but they could be slightly different. This is what controls might look like if you are on a smartphone, but they might be slightly different depending on your model and app. And then for those dialing in on a phone, you can use *6 to mute, *9 to raise your hand. We'll lower it for you. And when we say, I'll put a link in the chat, those links will also be included in our meeting minutes and are in this slideshow where you can click on them. Any questions? All right. We're going to go ahead and jump into community announcements, and I'll go through our regular ones, and then I have a PDF. I have a PDF from Sabina. Okay. Our first announcement, which is a repeat from last month, is our new Facebook group. Maria started that. Thank you, Maria. Woo! You can find our meeting info and our Zoom link there. It's a little bit safer place we can put it to avoid getting hacked. And just a place to keep up on neighborhood news that's got more of the official news in it that you are looking for on the website but want to access on Facebook. All right. Reminder about the LGL Harvest Share of the Week. For $25 every week, you can get produce grown right here in Brentwood-Darlington. I don't see Luke here today, so I will just give you this general announcement and another push for the article from David Ashton to definitely take that, give that a read. And I meant to also link the Black Futures Forum article that just came out, and I totally forgot, Pam. So I will put that on the website, and we'll include that in minutes, and I'll add it to this slide as well. Updates from Leach Garden. I don't see Mary here tonight. She sent me these updates. Just really briefly, the aerial tree walk the aerial tree walk is in progress. Landscapers are working on irrigation. Bathroom is coming along, and the stairs are on their way. And so you can read all those updates or the full newsletter, which is much more robust than what I put here, and check out the latest construction video. Videos don't play well over Zoom, so I'm not going to try. It always goes bad. Update on PPS. We were very worried about meal services for students being restricted to only PPS enrolled kids. It was a big concern in the neighborhood, and I'm pleased to announce that USDA decided to extend the program that was providing meals for all kids ages 1 to 18. So if you have a child under 18, you can go to any of the 38 PPS schools listed at that link that Maria will put in the comments. And on those select days from 3 to 5 p.m., you'll get multiple days worth of meals, and any student qualifies, and it's free, or any child qualifies. They don't have to be in a PPS school. They don't have to be of school age. So that's a win there. And of course, we know that classes will be online through the fall, if not longer. And as a parent who has started those classes so far, soft start's not too bad. So any questions on the PPS announcement? I know I'm going quickly, but a lot of these are repeats, or you can see them there on your screen. A reminder about food resources. We have 2 pantries in our neighborhood and one nearby in Woodstock. Just a note that the Impact Northwest Pantry is closed next week, but they will be open following that. They're directing folks to the unofficial pop-up pantry, which you can see there, which also has a new website, if Maria doesn't mind posting that in the chat. And that has ways to contribute both physical food goods and monetarily. And of course, if you can't make it to one of those, Friday and Saturday, our friends in Woodstock have their pantry at the All Saints Church. Any questions on those? If I go too fast and I miss you, you can put your hand up and Maria will keep an eye out for it. You can either do that with the hand thing or actually a physical hand, try to wave at her. Also a repeat, but our new neighbor Jordan here brought us this great information on contributing to the Laurelwood shelter. I would love to do a BD neighborhood potluck, and so I'm looking into organizing that for the end of September. If you are interested in being a part of that, then let me know, or you can email BDNA, catch up with us on Facebook, and we'll include you. I'll give a minute for that because it's a pretty wordy screen. All right. A new announcement is Solve is still having their beach and riverside cleanups September 19th through October 4th. They're doing it a little different this year, but they're still hoping for projects and project leaders. If you are interested in participating in that as either one, you can click that link there. Solve has been a great neighborhood partner. They just recently did a project at Cartlandia, and they've been a partner for the Paint the Town Green events that we've done in coordination with other neighborhoods, including Lentz, that's here tonight. And so if that's your jam, definitely click that link and sign up. Okay, before I move forward, we're going to let Sabina do her community announcement, and let me slowly change screens because it'll take me just a minute. And Sabina, if you want to go ahead and start in, I will get your document up in 1 minute.
Okay. So, sorry, I'm a little distracted because I'm from my phone, so I'm trying to like make this work. But thank you for putting that flyer up. I am here to let you all know about an effort that our neighborhood association is currently doing in the form of a meeting about outreach and engagement, where we are inviting, excuse me, we've reached out so far primarily to all the, or as many as we could, neighborhood associations to try to bring everyone around to have a conversation about what is adequate outreach and engagement of our communities. This is a proposal, an idea that came, excuse me, came from Robert, who's also here, and I will let him kind of talk about what his vision is for this and why we're getting together, but I just wanted to give you the basics to let you know that it's next week on Wednesday via Zoom. All the information is posted on our website, and Chelsea will also show you the flyer for it. So Robert, would you like to take over?
Sure. Thanks for giving us a second to chat about this. Frankly, what keeps coming up is that the city and state say, oh, we did outreach, and then they'll cite, they talk to 200 neighbors, and then they'll do a dramatic change to the neighborhood, and like in Lentz, it's 22,000 people. And it keeps coming up that the outreach and the engagement that they purport to have done is just not meaningful. And so we were talking at the board level, and I was like, well, what if we define that, or have an endeavor to define what does it actually mean? And so then as we discussed as a board, we're like, well, we should gather more neighborhood association folks and see what others have done. And Sabina was sharing with me earlier that that's already starting to yield reasonable, fun, interesting, new, different results where people are sharing. I believe she said one of the neighborhood association folks said, we've been successful with outreach to 65% of our neighborhood. And we in the neighborhood association game are like, wow, that's huge. And so the meeting that we're talking about on September 9th is really just to continue this conversation and get more input and continue to compile and to look forward as what we can do together to move this forward. I was suggesting our neighborhood adopt some kind of meaningful plan relative to this. So that is seen on our lentzneighborhoodassociation.com website. There's a flyer. I believe Chelsea's trying to pull that up now. And I don't want to step on your meeting at all, but if anybody has a really quick question of what, you're welcome to ask me, but that's pretty much the announcement that we have. And I believe Sabina had to take off. She was at another engagement or something.
Okay, I'm trying to share the screen. Has it shown up for you at all?
I don't see it, but.
Okay, let me try one more time. I'm using 2 different machines, so it's a little cranky sometimes.
There you go.
Did that work?
It was working. We could see it before.
Okay. So let me make it so you can actually see the.
Folks may or may not know this, but Sabina is an amazing flyer creator. This is her creation, and it is 6 to 7. It's Zoom. It'll be on our website. It's open to everybody. Participation-wise, we're limiting that a little bit so we can keep it constructive. We encourage people to email, post in the chat, just attend, and we're going to keep this conversation moving forward and continue to compile, like, what are they doing now, and what seems to work, and what's not working, etc. So. Thank you so much for taking the time to share this amazing flyer.
Thank you so much. Do we have any questions for Robert before Z goes?
I guess I have a question. Hi, Robert. This is Stephanie Frederick. How are you? The purpose of this is not to challenge city procedure. It's to improve how neighborhoods communicate with their residents, whatever the subject matter is. Is that right?
So this is at, like, I mean, you could say the ground floor. We've had a couple conversations. We've decided that it resonates, that this is something that we should be paying more attention on, especially in this time of want for change and want for meaningful investment in change. So this seemed like it was a reasonable opportunity to say, you know, what does it mean right now? What, you know, the city says they did engagement and outreach, and that means they sent an email or they sent a letter in the mail and nobody really responded, and then they kind of go, there you go. So what if we started to define in our own space what that means, and then as we get through that and kind of work through that, go to the city and suggest to the city that they adopt some meaningful change to do something like what we find success with as we move forward. And so the first step with that is kind of collaborating to see what's working, what's not working, and get some other voices. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like a really good idea. I would like to join the meeting.
Yeah, as you see on this flyer, well, on the other, it's through our website, so lentzNeighborhoodAssociation.com, and it'll be posted there. And yes, we would love as many folks that want to come. And if you have thoughts on it ahead of time, you're welcome to share that. We'll try to integrate it as much as possible. It seems to be resonating, and a lot of people seem drawn to it as, again, something we can do. You know, so many of these things, federal, state things, we just can't touch. This is something we can actually do. So I'm excited about it. Sorry to be a little bit of a cheerleader. And thank you for the question. And I'm going to stick around for your meeting. I like meetings. I don't know. I'm an Uber volunteer. What do you do?
Okay, good. Thanks a lot, Robert.
We're better for having you, Robert. All right, I'm going to take 1 minute to get my screen swapped again. And while I do that, I'm going to preface it with, we're going to, board members, do a quick election. We have a neighbor, Laura Lee Cole, who is interested in joining the board and also becoming our secretary. So as you know, elections held outside of our normal yearly elections require a unanimous vote of the board. So I'm going to pass the mic to Laura Lee so she can say a little bit about why she wants to be secretary, and then we will vote, and hopefully by then my screen will be swapped over. And go ahead, Laura Lee.
Thanks, Chelsea. So I mentioned earlier that I have lived in Brentwood-Darlington for about 7.5 years, and I was in Woodstock before that, and previous to that we were in Creston, Kenilworth. I worked for Portland Parks and Recreation for over 10 years, 10 to 12 years. And I was the recreation coordinator at Montebello Community Center. And then I took a couple-year break and went back to work and started working at Providence Cancer Institute as a senior admin assistant. And I've been with the Cancer Research Institute for 3 years now. And I love it. And I love our neighborhood. And I have always wanted to go to the neighborhood association meetings. I get up very early, and it's a terrible excuse, but 7 to 9 over at the community center was a little bit tough for me, being a single parent with 2 small kids. So you guys went Zoom and my world opened up. And so I've been joining you guys with the Zoom meetings, which is fantastic. And I kind of do a secretarial job during the day. So I thought maybe it'd be a good fit for you guys to have me come on board and continue to take the minutes and learn more about everything you guys do. I was telling my kids, I've learned more about our neighborhood in the past 3 months than in the past 7 years just by attending these meetings. So I'm going to be in it for the long haul, I think.
Thank you, Laura Lee.
Awesome. So board members, I will officially nominate Laura Lee for board member and the role of secretary. I believe we have to vote on them separately according to our bylaws. I see Pam affirming that. So if there is no further discussion or any problems, I will go ahead and call the roll. So I'm going to give a sec for anybody to say if they want to have a question or a discussion point. Okay, board members, I'll call your name and you know the drill, aye or nay, and those who can't speak audibly can put theirs in the chat and we'll read those off. I'll do Gail first. I see an aye from her. Stephanie, you're next on my list.
Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
Pam?
Aye.
Shannon?
Aye.
Tina?
Aye.
Lynn?
Aye.
And me, I say aye. Did I miss any board members? All right, Laura Lee is elected to the board by unanimous vote. Now we need to vote if she can be secretary. So board members, I will call the roll on voting aye, yes for secretary, or nay, no for secretary. Gail, are you in the chat? Aye, wholeheartedly. She says, Stephanie, you're next.
Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
Pam?
Aye.
Shannon?
Aye.
Tina?
With a grateful heart, yes.
Lynn?
Aye.
And myself, aye. All right, also unanimous pass, Laura Lee. We are so happy to have you. You cannot even imagine. So welcome new board member, Laura Lee. Woo!
Thank you guys. I'm so excited.
Okay, let's go ahead and move forward to our exciting discussion about bylaws. And I want to throw a huge shout out here to Pam and Stephanie for their work on this. Pam went through and, oh my gosh, this document. And Stephanie put in our amendments that had been floating in the wind as a different document for several years. And so our website is updated with the actual most current version and including that updated language, so you no longer have to toggle between the two. So, but yeah, I just want to first take a minute and go, oh my gosh, yay, Pam, because when you see her document, which will take me a minute to pull up, I apologize, it is incredible. So I'm going to pull that up, and Pam, go ahead and start in.
Thank you for the kudos. So I think it's overly ambitious to think that we can go through all of the points tonight in one pass of the comparison of BDNA bylaws to the Southeast Uplift recommended template for bylaws. But as you'll see, when the document comes, my document comes up on the screen, the comparison of the two, there were 10 major issues that I identified where our current bylaws are out of alignment with Southeast Uplift. There it is. Wonderful. So I sort of apologize for all the fine print, but this is a working document. I would suggest that we hit the major issues today and then schedule some additional time, perhaps a work session to discuss the full document, maybe article by article in more detail. But as you can see in the overview section, it's been quite a while since BDNA amended its bylaws, February 6th of 2013. So, 7+ years. And the Southeast Uplift template that has a lot of discussion in its annotations, and I sent that out to board members as well for those who are gluttons for punishment, was a document dated from January 26th of 2015. So it too has sat on the shelf for a while. And so as we think about this in a future work session, we might want to have some further conversations with Southeast Uplift or with other neighborhood associations that have updated their bylaws since 2015. So just as a broad overview, both our current bylaws and the template have the same number of articles, but they're not in the same order. There's not a one-to-one relationship. So you almost have to look at the whole thing when you're thinking of making amendments to our bylaws so that you don't inadvertently contradict yourself. One section contradicts another section. So the level of complexity and detail here is pretty amazing. Our bylaws have 13 pages plus an additional 5 pages marked Exhibit A with guidelines that typically would not be in the bylaws, because by putting them in the bylaws, it makes it more difficult to amend. They're really a policy document of the board, and therefore one of my recommendations you'll see later is to take the land use committee guidelines out of the bylaws and treat them really as what they are, a policy document. So 13 pages for ours, 37 pages for the template, and that's without annotations. So I promised you my take on the 10 major issues that I saw, and you might disagree, but first of all, Southeast Uplift says that there must be a consent requirement for membership. So when a member says that they meet the eligibility criteria, when they're voting on a membership meeting, they also have to consent to membership. That's a legal requirement, and we currently don't have that provision in our bylaws. And you can drill down to issue number 3 if you want to see more of the discussion on that. And then secondly, related to consent, is we have no official membership list, and that is required by state law. So that's discussed below in issues 3 and 15, but it seems like we're out of compliance with state law. That's a big thing. And then third, the template sets forth a specific process for a neighborhood association to establish committees. And we just don't have all of the details yet fleshed out in our bylaws. So we might want to look at issue 16 for that. And then next, lack of compliance with the SUL requirements for committees with what they call board authority. In other words, a committee like land use, which is currently the only Brentwood-Darlington committee with board authority, needs to meet certain requirements, and they're not all fleshed out in our bylaws. And then the next one, I think we have a de facto annual meeting. I mean, we've always treated our meeting in May with the election as an annual meeting. but we don't say the magic words in our bylaws. And since that is a state law requirement, I think we should consider following the recommended language in the Southeast Uplift template. And then, and I'm sorry if your eyes are glazing over at this point, there doesn't appear to be any quorum provision specific to board meetings in our Brentwood-Darlington bylaws. And I think this may simply have been an oversight when they were drafted. There is a quorum elsewhere in like general meetings, but not specific to board meetings. So I've described that problem further in issue 27 below. And then indemnification, which is a legal requirement that is nice to have in your bylaws. And I'll talk about that in issue 51, is missing from ours. And then also conflicts of interest are not very well defined in our bylaws compared to the Southeast Uplift template. And for number 9, no provisions with ONI, and this is for the uninitiated, what used to be called the Office of Neighborhood Involvement, now called Civic Life, City of Portland Bureau of Civic Life, still has on its books these ONI standards, and we don't have any provision in our bylaws referencing that we will follow ONI standards, and that may be something that we want to add. And then finally, number 10, I've already talked about the Land Use Committee guidelines being a policy document that really shouldn't be in the bylaws themselves. So maybe I should take a pause here and just say broadly what I would suggest, and again, this is just my first look, is that we restate our bylaws, looking at them as a whole. The default position would be using the Southeast Uplift template, except, and I've put this in yellow where otherwise noted. In other words, in my first pass with this, I saw some things in our bylaws that were highly desirable. And so there's nothing to say that we can't add to the template language. So that's sort of my organizational recommendation for bringing our bylaws into the present day and making sure that we're in compliance with state law. So Chelsea, what do you think? Do we have questions or comments? Because I have not been reading the chat as I'm speaking.
We do have a comment from Gail. She says, we've used our May meeting generally as our voting and general meeting, annual meeting, all of it. But I do think clarifying it's good. I like the suggestion of having a bylaw work session. We have 2 choices with that. We can use our existing all committees meeting on the 15th, or we can set a date dedicated just to this. We could even possibly host it a daytime or a weekend or something like that to make it more accessible. So community members and board members, I'd love input on that. You can use the hand raise function or raise your hand on your screen, and we'll try to make sure we get to everybody if they have a question or comment. So go ahead and let us know if you have questions, comments, opinions on when a good meeting for this would be. I see Stephanie, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
I think it would be nice to have all comms and even another work session, but I actually think we might need several, because I read Pam's work in its entirety, and just reading it was exhausting. The thought of trying to accomplish a complete revision in only 1 or 2 meetings is terrifying to me, and I think that we should give ourselves plenty of time to work through the 10 points and not feel that we have to do it all at once.
Okay, I agree. And if you agree or disagree, you can sound off. I see agree from Shannon. I also think that we are going to have to be somewhat flexible about the length of our timeline, because some of the points that I noted in there from Pam, we're going to have to check with Southeast Uplift, I think, on the insurance indemnification stuff. And there was a couple other things where it would be the correct thing to check with Southeast Uplift, or we need information from them to move forward. I see another agreement from Tina. Stephanie, you have another comment?
Well, we don't have to take these points in the order in which Pam listed them. We can go for the most important ones first. Like, I would love to talk about the indemnification because of certain things that land use is interested in. We could make, I mean, what do you think, Pam? I don't think that it really matters what order we do them in. What do you think?
No, I think that's fine. And indemnification was one of the top 10 areas in my mind to address as priorities. So yes, I would just suggest looking at the top 10 first, and then, working our way through the rest of them. The comparison that I put together is 17 pages. I sent it out to the board in advance, but if we want a broader discussion with the public at some point, I don't know, Chelsea, whether you're going to post this on our website so that anyone who's interested can look at it.
I think that's the best way. As far as I understand, we are, anytime we are considering changes to the bylaws, we need to broadcast it as widely as possible to our neighborhood. Maria did put the link in the chat if you want to access this document. And I think that multiple work sessions is definitely where it's at. We're coming up on 5 minutes till the end of this subject on our agenda. I'm trying to do better about agendas because I know I get way off track. So why don't we'll take a few more comments. And Gail says if we change anything, we must post it. So that's correct, or echoes what I was saying. And I think that we should spend some time on it at our committee's meeting. And Stephanie, would there be time at a land use meeting to work on the land use portion of this?
Well, the land use portion is, without the guidelines, is very tiny. So I suppose so. There's not much that has to be fixed in that part, but the guidelines are something that we could work on.
Okay. So board members, is there any opposition to scheduling this out at those two meetings and then doing a special community work session following them after we have a better grasp on everything that is needing to be adjusted here?
Yeah, just a clarification, Chelsea. My understanding of the bylaws amendment process as it exists in our bylaws currently is the board can have work sessions if it chooses to really delve into the details and then come up with a proposed set of new bylaws, which then has to be put before the public with proper notice on a first reading, and then must come back for the vote at a second public meeting with full notice. But the actual work sessions don't require, public involvement. So, we'll see how many people show up and are interested in it, but it is very detailed.
Stephanie, you have a comment there?
Well, and there are a couple of points where we may have to amend our articles of incorporation if we want to include certain powers in our bylaws, right, Pam?
Yes, and so I have not looked at the articles of incorporation. I've just looked at the annual filing that we do with the Secretary of State. So that's just, I didn't have time to do that since our all committees meeting.
All right. So let's take a look at our articles of incorporation. We'll put this as a work item at our all committees, and Stephanie will review some of the land use stuff at the land use committee, and then let's board members will communicate and see if we want to have another session after those, and how we want to move forward with that, and we will update the website as the process moves forward. But I have no problem sharing this document with all of our neighbors, because who knows, maybe somebody is absolutely passionate about bylaws and would love to come and help on this project and make these the best bylaws that BDNA has ever seen. So we'll go ahead and post the link to this in our minutes, of course, and on our as we work through this process. So is there any opposition or final comments on that? Stephanie?
I still feel we need more time than what you're outlining.
I'm just outlining for a couple of work sessions. I'm not saying we're going to have it ready for the next meeting. I'm saying we should start with a work session at all committees, a work session at land use, and then see where we're at, and we can plan more work sessions from there.
When do you want to have that land use work session?
That would be up to you as the land use chair. You could include it as part of your meeting, or you could make a special session. I'm not trying to have a first reading of this by next meeting.
Okay.
So we can take a few months to do this correctly and work with Southeast Uplift on the questions we have, and make sure that we're following the correct process.
Oh, okay, a few months. That sounds better. Okay, that sounds good. All right, thank you.
This is just initial work sessions to take Pam's amazing work and start breaking it into manageable chunks.
Okay, fine.
Okay. Any other questions, clarification? All right, if you love bylaws, come to our next all committees, where we will be delving into the details of our great bylaw changes of 2020. Okay, I need to switch screens again, and our next thing on our agenda is the Emergency Preparedness and Woodstock Community Business Association update. So I'm going to turn it over to Tina to start that while I pull her slides up. Are you ready, Tina?
I'm so ready.
All right.
I only have 3 things for emergency preparedness, and 1 thing for Woodstock Business Association. I'm hoping everybody can hear me. So, anyways, so for the emergency preparedness and sustainability, Stephanie had forwarded me an email from a woman named Jacqueline, who works with the Red Cross doing emergency preparedness presentations. And there's some really fun, free virtual training opportunities. And we were talking about one of them that would be more pertinent than not within our community. And that is to potentially have a home fire safety presentation. They're 45 minutes to an hour. They're free. And if everybody's amicable with that, then I could go ahead and set that up for the first part of one of our board meetings, or a committee, all committees meeting. Although I'm really leaning towards the November board meeting, if that works for everybody. Does anybody have questions, comments on that?
Let me check my notes for November to make sure I don't tell you yes when I shouldn't.
One of the things that they cover the main topic, but they also start every presentation with basics of how to be prepared for an emergency at home or work or in transit. So again, always, in my opinion, of course, as I'm emergency preparedness, this is always a good thing. So.
Yeah, okay. Well, it sounds good to me, Tina.
Okay, so if there isn't a conflict for the November meeting, are we cool with that? And if there is a conflict, maybe pushing it to December?
I don't see any conflicts in my notes, and if there is, I'll find a way to make it work. So we can go ahead and do it for our meeting in November. And how much time do you need total, Tina, for that block?
She said that total, it takes 45 minutes to an hour. So just like when we have had other presenters do the first part of our meeting, she'll be done by then, easily.
Awesome. So we should give her the first, so should we do our community announcements and then give her the 45 after?
Yeah.
Can you send me the details so I spell everything correctly?
I sure will, and she'll actually, as soon as I confirm with her, she'll email me a flyer with all the pertinent information, as well as I'll shoot her your contact information so that you two can work together on solidifying the Zoom aspect.
No problem. Send her my way.
Okay. The second thing for emergency preparedness and sustainability is just reminding everybody that wasn't at the all committees meeting. We voted and agreed to cancel our September 12th collection event until further notice due to COVID risk and safety. And finally, for the emergency preparedness and sustainability, as Robert probably has received, the PDX.net has sent out an announcement this week that on Wednesday, September 30th, there is a free and open to the public presentation by Yumi Wang about Cascadia earthquakes from science to safety. So this is a big deal. Yumi is nationally recognized in disaster resilience as an expert, and she'll discuss a whole bunch of important information. Again, it's free and open to the public. It's only from 6 p.m. to 7:30, and as soon as I finish talking, so I can actually do my typing and think at the same time, I will post the link for anybody that is interested in signing up, because it is free, but it does have a capacity limit. So everybody who wishes to participate has to register in advance. So that's pretty much it for emergency preparedness and sustainability.
Tina, question on that training before you move on. Will it be recorded and posted for others to watch who can't make it?
I honestly do not have the answer for that.
Okay.
I'm hoping so, but I'm not going to guarantee because, well, you know, technology and who's heading it up, I don't know. But everything else that they've done has been available as a recording later. But again, I can't guarantee that. That's definitely out of my spectrum. And then as far as Woodstock Business Association, hang on while I pull it up. They are actively working on taking the applications for Woodstock Gives Back, which includes Brentwood-Darlington as well, since we have kind of worked together and merged the business association to cover our area. And so just go to the woodstockbusinessassociation.com to fill out the application on how you can work with that. Beyond that, I don't have a ton of information.
Tina, the link is in the chat and it's woodstock.biz.
Thank you.
Or woodstockbiz.com, woodstockbiz.com. Yeah, woodstockbiz.com. So woodstockbiz.com.
I like, off of the top of my head, I cannot remember. So
it's not intuitive sometimes.
Right. So that's pretty much everything I've got to cover. That's all that Woodstock has been putting out. We haven't actually done much in the way of online virtual meetings. So that's just continuing on. So that's it. That's my full report.
Fantastic. All right. Next on our agenda is a break. How would everybody like to get up and have a stretch break?
That sounds good.
We will take a 5-minute, well, we're done. Tina, you're fast. We're done 2 minutes early. We'll take a 7-minute break. We'll start back at 8:05 for our land use and transportation report with Stephanie. Thanks, everybody. See you in a few minutes. All right, everyone, it is 8:05. So we're gonna pass this off to Stephanie to tell us about land use and transportation. Stephanie, are you ready?
Yes, I'm here.
Welcome. All right, take the floor.
Okay, I'll review a few items that either were addressed at the most recent land use meeting or have come up since. One of the items that has come up since is the residential landfill or infill. It is maybe landfill more appropriately. The residential infill project, which was adopted by the city council. I have to study the final amended regulation. I don't know how it reads amended, but basically it does away with single family zoning in Portland. You can still build a single housing unit on a lot, but it's now allowable to build 2 and under certain circumstances 3 or 4 units on a lot. The planners who developed this predict that Montevilla, Brentwood-Darlington, and Lentz will see the most construction of multi-unit housing and also the most displacement of low-income residents, which is not a welcome outlook and something that we should try to fight or try to keep from happening. And I would just like to comment that even without the residential infill project, we have seen similar construction here for the last 3 years. Ever since the city said that little narrow tiny lots are okay to build on, we have seen a lot of lot splitting with very narrow little houses being built on them, you know, right to the edges of the lots. And they've been accomplishing exactly the same effect, you know, as the residential infill project. So apparently the development momentum was already well in place before adoption of the residential infill project. So I propose to study the final amended regulation and report on it in full, but I'm not able to do that yet. It is interesting to me that Amanda Fritz voted against it. She felt that it deviates from the intended goals of providing affordable housing and slowing or ending gentrification and displacement. And she does not support it. She does not support it at all. And I found that very interesting. And in connection with that, Doug Armstrong, who's the chair of the EPAP Land Use Committee, he pointed out that a housing aspect that no one is talking about now is how the city and county will deal with the eventual tsunami of foreclosures and vacant properties that will occur when all of the payment moratoria are lifted. He says what he can see happening is a city-county partnership with Prosper Portland and other developers to raise tracts of housing to build what the residential infill project and the other city plans have in common, which is to have a lot of multi-unit housing. So he's very worried about this this prospect. So that's something also to discuss in the future. Okay, so I'll be back on residential infill, but that gives you an idea right now of where we stand with it. And then to go on to Southeast Flavel Drive, where we are having speeding problems. At the last BDNA board meeting, the board adopted a position that it formally requests the city to install fire department approved speed bumps, and we want a flashing beacon crossing at Hazeltine Park. And so we did send that memo to Art Pierce and then planners who work for him, and we will continue to send information. I was about to say correspond, but there was no reply to our email, so it's not really a correspondence. It was very one-sided. But in any case, we did follow through with that, and we will continue to convey to PBOT that we need some help with this street. In the meantime, we've had 2 volunteers collecting speed data using radar guns, and I'm putting them into a spreadsheet. And I'm just seeing roughly now that in this 25-mile-an-hour zone, we're seeing almost everybody going, well into the 30s, 36, 38. We're 10 miles over the speed limit, and sometimes faster than that. So there's definitely a problem there. At the moment, I want to suspend use of the radar gun, though, because we're starting to see so much violence around the neighborhood. I don't want anyone using the speed gun to get accosted by someone who thinks that they have a gun leveled at them. I'd like to wait until things settle down a bit. And I also have asked Leah Fisher to give us a report on whether we are insured against, whether we have liability insurance in case somebody using a radar gun on behalf of the neighborhood association should be injured or drop the radar gun on their foot or whatever. And so I'm waiting for that information to come back. But in the meantime, we did get some initial information data that we can send to the city and say, look, we do have a problem here. So I think that we're up to date in our advocacy with regard to Flavel Drive.
Stephanie, before you move on to the next subject, we have a question on the residential infill project.
Okay.
Scott says, can you share the report that says the residential infill project will displace as opposed to increase the opportunities for low-income folks? And it looks like Maria just put that in the chat for you there. So is that the correct report, Stephanie?
I have no idea.
Okay. Well, it looks like it to me. So Scott, if that doesn't answer your question, you can reach out to Stephanie directly at bdlanduse@gmail.com.
Outside of the report, as far as I know, the statement was made by, gosh, who was it? Morgan Tracy, I guess. And I'll just quote here. Overall, the proposal is likely to reduce displacement of low-income renters in single-family homes across Portland. This reduction results from allowing more units to be built on one lot, which means fewer lots will be redeveloped across the city. However, Brentwood-Darlington lands and parts of the Montevilla neighborhood east of 82nd Avenue are likely to see significant increases in redevelopment that could lead to the increased displacement of vulnerable households. So this quote and some attendant URLs appears in the notes that were sent out in the wake of the Land Use Committee. So you should have those, Scott. I sent that to you. And Maria also shared a displacement burden map that is from the residential infill project. But we'll be able to give you more information after I have a closer look at it. But do look at the notes sent out from the transportation meeting from August.
And if you can't find those on the website, they will be up soon. We had some website issues for about a week or two where it wouldn't let me save or post anything. So I finally got those fixed, and I'm still going through to make sure I've posted everything that was sent. So I'll make sure that's up. And Stephanie, when you, Gail has a comment that the mega building on Luther between 79th and 75th is for high-end rent apartments or condos. Do you have something to, do you have a response for that?
No, I don't know anything about it.
Okay.
Where is it? It's on Luther?
Luther between 75th and 79th.
Is that in Brentwood-Darlington or is that in Clackamas?
That's the development that we talked about, Stephanie. That's
on the other. That's in the other side of the county line.
Yeah, it's technically Clackamas County.
Right.
All
yeah.
right.
No, I don't have any information about that because I confine my research right now to Portland, and so no, I don't know.
Well, you
They are marketing that as high end. Like all their marketing says that. So. I can find the name of it for you. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head.
I have it somewhere. It's okay. Thank you. That I just am focusing on things that are inside our neighborhood at the moment.
So the answer is
for a moment. I'll see what's happening with them.
Great. Okay.
Again.
Go ahead. Sorry to interrupt your report.
That's okay. It's not an interruption. Okay. So. PBOT is proposing to build a bicycle greenway through our neighborhood. We have some discussion going over the exact route. But for the moment, PBOT is using the greenways to institute what it's calling its Slow Streets program, which is to put up a lot of barriers and signs to keep through traffic off the greenways and make it so that they're more amenable or more accessible to people to walk, stroll, bicycle, wheelchair, whatever it is, to actually use the roadway for many kinds of transportation so that it's not just for cars. So the Greenway, as it stands now in the Safe Routes to School map, extends on Ogden from east of 82nd Avenue up to the park at 62nd, and then jogs down to Knapp, and then continues west on Knapp to 52nd, and jogs north a little bit to continue on Knapp to 45th. So it looks as though that entire stretch through our neighborhood has been dedicated to slow streets, guys. I see barriers at the entrance on 52nd that indicate that the 52nd, 45th stretch of the Greenway is now a slow streets roadway. But I felt a little bit disappointed that, well, I'm hoping that we can still see a change in the routing and that we will not end up with the NAP version, but Ogden all the way to 45th. But we'll have to see what happens there. So I don't know, has anybody there gone walking or skateboarding or strolling on Ogden or Knapp?
So Stephanie, I wanted to add to that, there's also one running on 78th. I don't know if you were aware of that one, but 78th at both Flavel and Duke are marked with the same.
Oh no, I didn't know that. Yeah, okay.
So,
that's good to know. Mm-hmm.
And I haven't gotten to walk or drive there or walk there, but I have altered my routes as a driver who normally drives down those roads. So, and I'm noticing that when I do have to drive on them for residential purposes, that the traffic is lower on them. So,
okay.
So like when I go visit somebody who's living on one of those streets, the overall traffic I'm encountering is lower of cars. So just
Okay, so
anecdotal.
they're having that desired effect. Do you see anybody using those streets?
The ones that I'm on, I actually see a lot of people walking dogs on Ogden. So I see a lot of dogs and strollers. So I'm glad to see the car traffic getting lower. Oh, and I see a Maria rode her bike with kids and dogs through there. So Maria, do you want to comment on that any further or just thumbs up?
No, yeah, it worked great. In Knapp worked really good. We went from 60th and then, no, hold on, from 52nd on and then like over to Lewis School. There are a few corners and a few things where there's I don't know, a few 100 yards of connection missing. It's a little tricky when you are on bikes with little kids and all that stuff. So it's not ideal, but it's something. It's a good start. I do feel like there was less traffic. I felt pretty safe with my kids there. And they're young, they're 4 and 6, and you know, to be on the road, and they did good and I felt safe. It's not perfect, and it works better one way, and then on the way back there's like, there's no crosswalk here to make it from one side of the greenway to the other side of the greenway, and you just have to cross like 45th with no there is no crosswalk there, and it's right before that big hill and all that, so that's a little tricky. It's far from ideal, but my standard for ideal is it needs to be safe for kids to ride their bikes in traffic, so it's a pretty high standard. I understand that too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Oh, thanks for your commentary. Yeah, we'd like to move that crossing at 45th away from the hill.
Yeah, but there is at least a crossing on 52nd. On 45th, there is no crossing. If you come back and you go out east.
No, I know there's no crossing, but eventually the bikeway will be extended across 45th.
Oh, yeah.
All the way to Bybee.
Yeah.
And it'd be nice to not have it at Knapp, but a little one block further up at Ogden, so it's further away from the hill.
And yeah, that's a good call. And on Knapp, they put out those reflective orange big thingies there at the beginning of the street. So that really seemed to deter any cars. Unfortunately, they didn't do that in those small, tiny little streets where we are discussing, you know, should they be maybe one-way streets. Those don't have those obstructions there, and there were a little bit more cars there than on the parts that did have the physical obstruction, where you're like, oh, you really stop as a car, like, am I even allowed in here? It looks like you're entering a construction zone, and that's how it needs to be. That really seemed to make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, on that similar note, we walk Ogden as a family, and we use like our bike trailer, we ride our bikes and we walk on there. And Ogden itself, I feel like recently, since those have gone up, has had less traffic with like car traffic, but I have the similar thing where I'm unnerved about the side streets, because that's always been the danger for us, is somebody constantly is running those stop signs right there. So I'm still on high alert about those side streets being an issue because they don't have the blockade right now.
Okay, that's a very good comment, which I can pass on to Scott Cohen. And okay, thank you. Thank you for that commentary, both of you. That's very helpful.
I'm just gonna give a time check. We're a little beyond land use and transportation, but I can scrunch mine pretty short. So go ahead and wrap up, Stephanie, and then we'll move on.
Okay, just, okay, real fast. I'm hoping that we can spread the word about what we can spread the word about Brent Stock incubators, but I would love to see the city assume liability for farming along the edges of gravel roads. Right now it assumes liability for building trails along gravel roads. And I feel that we might advocate for an expansion of the language in that particular program, trails and farming, or whatever. And then we could, encourage everybody in Brentwood-Darlington to make use of this unused land, but with the knowledge that neither they nor the BDNA would get sued if somebody tripped over a watermelon or something. Right, so anyway, I'm very excited about what Scott is up to. It's just incredible. And I want to see us be able to use it, but I know that I have to protect us from liability issues, right? And around the liability front. Okay, so, and then one final thing, I am going to be learning the city's tree code, which is also about to be amended. And I wanted to point out that I'm seeing a lot of tree death in Brentwood-Darlington. We are in a zone of moderate drought, and some of our trees are dying because they're not getting water. So I'm just sad to see that. But in any case, I'm going to be learning residential landfill and working on the liability issues, and then learning the tree code. So I'm going to be doing a lot and working on the bylaws, it looks like. So, okay, that's it.
Thank you, Stephanie. Pam doesn't have a report tonight, so we get it like 1 more minute. I have one question on the trees. I'm wondering, as many of us, including myself, have the trend of not watering our yards to conserve water and things like that. I'm wondering if those who don't have like gardens and other things that get regularly watered aren't watering their yards, and that's contributing to the tree death. I know of a person who stopped watering their yard for water conservation reasons, and it had the effect of their trees. They lost a few trees because the trees were relying on that water from the yard, and they didn't have a garden in that area for it to get other sources. So I'm wondering if it might be something we could get some information from maybe the urban forestry department on, if the weather is going to be hot for a while, remember to water your yard trees, even if you're not watering your yard. Or
well, I noticed that the urban forestry people were recommending that last year, and then I haven't heard a peep from them this year. And but I can check with them, and then maybe we can put up some notices for our residents. I know last year I didn't water my Douglas fir thoroughly enough, and in the fall it lost a lot of branches and developed some of that witch's broom stuff, and was just showering down dead twigs and branches and so on. So this year I'm watering and it's looking a lot better. But yeah, I think, I don't know if you remember, but at the one Farm to Fork dinner that we had outdoors, the fundraiser for Learning Garden Labs, the speaker said that at Learning Garden Labs, every year the ground is harder and drier, and they have to put more water on the land. They are definitely seeing the change. Yeah, I don't know if you remember her saying that, but I was very struck by that.
The project that we're working on for Brent Stock incubators, a lot of it has to do with the urban habitat and tree health. That it's a super big, large issue that we're dealing with, and talking with Friends of Trees and getting their most updated recommendations. When we were looking at a large amount of trees going in, they said they're having to reduce the trees that they allow because of issues around global climate change and with the lack of water. So it's maybe something that the resources that we're finding, we can help disseminate to neighbors as well.
Oh, that would be outstanding, Scott. Yeah, no, I think that climate change is upon us, and we haven't really felt it up here so much, but but I think we're beginning to now. So yeah, anything you can share would be fabulous. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. And I see a comment from Laura Lee in the about the cost of water, that it has increased since July 1st, but City of Portland is offering decreased bills for families that qualify. So definitely check the Water Bureau's website to see if you qualify. I'm sorry, I don't have that link handy, but if anybody does, they can throw it in the comments or in the chat. Anything else for land use, Stephanie, before we move on? Thank you for your incredible and thorough work. We really, really appreciate it.
No, that's fine. No, it's all very compelling to me, and I feel privileged to be part of it. There was one final issue. In the City Council voted to adopt an operating levy. It's a property tax to support parks and recreation. So I need to learn that thoroughly. I've listened to 2 hours of City Council discussion and been reading about compression and how we compute land taxes, and it's the most complicated thing you can imagine. But I want to end up with something that we can post to residents, because although we can't ask people to vote for anything, we can give them the pros and cons. So I want to put my understanding together, run it by Gail, who's our parks person, our official parks person, and then see if you can post it at our website and at Facebook and on our Facebook group and so on. So I've got to get going on that, because that election is coming right up. It's going to be on the November ballot. So
right.
lots to do.
We will definitely post that. Information is good. And Gail says, thanks bunches from the chat there.
Oh, okay.
All right, let's go ahead and move forward if you're ready, Stephanie.
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, and just a quick note here for those who want to join BDNA land use meeting, there is the information, and this again is in the public records on the slideshow, and you can click through to all of that. All right, Lynn, are you ready for treasurer's report?
Yes. So since we're kind of running a little bit behind, I think, on time, I'm just going to keep it very short. We started off with about $9,000 to begin with, had a few just COVID-19 type of support transactions, and we're going to be forecasted to be at about $8,700. So I don't know if anybody has any questions, but that's really it.
I just have a question. Did we get all of our communications funds spent up?
I haven't received any invoices from the forms people yet, Oregon business forms, but I think Derek said that he ordered the stuff. So
that's correct. I did order that. Yes.
You ordered it, yeah.
Yes.
So as long as I get the invoices before September 30th, we should be good.
Yep, and I double checked with Debbie at Oregon Business Forums, and we should be getting that in a matter of a couple of weeks, the invoices and the product. Yep.
All right, we'll need invoices by that date. So, and then we'll go from there. And great, you guys got that taken care of. And it looks like we still have a little bit in our COVID relief neighbor support funds.
Yeah, we have 387, yeah.
Board members, I haven't been spending it because we haven't had requests for help. And so whenever we get one or we find a neighbor who has had a tragedy, I've been doing that. So if you know of someone or you have a idea for spending the rest of that relief, let me know.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, Chelsea, for doing this.
All right. Nothing else, Lynn?
Yeah, that's all I have.
All right. Big thank you to Lynn for being an amazing figure.
Thank you, Lynn.
Okay, Pam said nothing from Southeast Uplift this month. It seems to be an every other month thing, Pam, because of how their meetings fall, right? So, okay. Oh, hey, that brings it to me. We are working on a virtual fundraising concert with the Mars Rovers. If you're not familiar with them, they are led by Gail's amazing husband, Richard, who is just a great musician along with all his band members. And I'm still working to make sure we can use the outside of the community center for power and setup, but we are potentially going to have a virtual concert to raise money for socks for the Laurelwood shelter. As some of you know, BDNA was one of the committee members for that shelter when it was being conceived and determined. So we try to contribute now and then. And we have a new neighbor in the neighborhood who works there and is very passionate. So we're going to stream this virtually and have tickets that are the cost of like a pair of socks or a pack of socks or something like that. There will be a rock your socks off theme of some sort that we're still working on. Gail wants to know if they're going to allow us, if we're going to allow socially distanced watchers. And that's the sticky part, because we can't really have an event with people, but we also can't stop people from, you know, watching from the park. So the way that we're going to set it up is there will be some sort of barrier set up that makes it so that people cannot get close to the band, and what they choose to do in the public park will be their choice. And we will have signs reminding people to social distance and where they can view the concert virtually. Questions, comments?
No, it sounds like a wonderful effort. Thank you.
The idea is to put the band inside the fence at the community center. Gail's already seeing my thinking here. And that way there's a fence between everybody. So,
okay.
And if you want to help with that, let me know. We will probably broadcast it via Zoom or a YouTube live or something like that. I'm still working on which technology will be better. But if that's your jam, let me know and you can help with the stuff for that. But the goal is to have a virtual event, not an in-person one, and raise some money for socks for our neighbors. All right.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds great.
Okay, outstanding minutes. That's our next thing. Are you also excited? The only ones I saw in my email were Pam's. Did I miss anybody's?
Yeah, you're gonna get mine. I misplaced them and then I found them again, so.
All right, so board members, who all read Pam's excellent minutes? I saw a few folks sent some corrections. Stephanie did. All right, has everybody read it enough to vote on making these minutes official and from draft?
Yes.
Okay, I'm seeing nods and waves and thumbs up. Okay, so let's see. Pam, do you mind making the motion to approve your minutes?
Yes, I move to adopt the February 2020 minutes as revised and sent to board members earlier today.
I second the motion.
Excellent. We have a motion to approve these minutes as revised by Pam, seconded by Stephanie. I'll do the roll call, starting with, let's see, Lynn says yes, and Gail says yes from the chat. Pam?
Aye.
Stephanie?
Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
Shannon? I see Shannon.
Aye. Sorry.
I think Tina says yes from the chat. Did I miss anybody? Oh, and me. Aye. All right. Motion passes. Board minutes for February are approved unanimously. If you have not yet submitted your outstanding minutes, please do so before the next meeting. If you are struggling to get them, please talk to our amazing new secretary, Laura Lee, who has kindly offered to help board members who are struggling to get their meetings digital and for approval. So definitely take her some chocolate or something virtually. Okay, so thank you, Pam, for getting your minutes in, and thanks for board members for those who are working on it. I'm gonna have one more of my own things to say, and then I'll open it up to any other miscellaneous business or things that didn't make it onto the agenda. I feel like there was something we wanted to talk about, but I can't remember what it was. So the only thing I want to add is I'm wondering if there's interest in any kind of a virtual candidate event before elections, or if that's just absolutely.
Oh, yes. Yes, let's get Mingus Mops on board to talk to us.
It might be fun to do like we could either do like a BDNA candidate interview via Zoom that we record, because I feel like a live chat moderated things would be a little too much for us right now. So if there's interest in more than just me on that, and I see Stephanie looking excited, I am willing to put together the details and send out to the board, and we can throw together a September event since we have mail-in here.
Are we talking about commissioner
I think
ones or
I
mayor?
think we should invite whoever, and like we were gonna have a mayor event and then they weren't able to, so maybe all of those lovely people who were going to come, we could offer them a virtual event, and
That's a heated one too.
We can solicit questions like we do, and then board members could ask them. We could record it via Zoom and have it up on our YouTube like we normally do. And that way our neighbors can be more informed, but we're also not managing a crazy pants chat and video session with way more people than I'm comfortable with on Zoom yet. I'm not good enough at Zoom for that yet.
You're doing a great job, though. I would love to have something where we got some candidates, the mayoral candidates, and then the position for commissioner candidates.
Excellent. Okay, I will put together details on that. And then Stephanie, you had something for miscellaneous business, so I'll turn it over to you while I write my notes down.
Oh God, what was it? Oh, now I remember. Okay, wait. At the land use committee, in the course of our discussions, it turned up that there are lots of volunteer efforts, little nonprofits or informal volunteer groups going on in Brentwood-Darlington that I had no idea about. I mean, Scott's is one, but there are egg people and vegetable people and fruit people, and it was just an amazing, and I'm sure that there are dozens more that you know, we just scratched the surface. And so I was wondering if, as an outgrowth of our resource guide, maybe we could post the names and contact information for these various groups at our website and maybe at our Facebook group, so that other people know about them. So maybe there are other people who want to join the egg cooperative or you know, the people who bake cherry pies or whatever it is, you know, and but also as a form of outreach, I'm just wondering if someday we might want to consider giving out little grants every year. They could be small, but I'm sure that every organization could use them. And it's a way of calling attention to us and the work that we do. And we've got a pretty good balance in our checking account right now. And so $50 here, $50 there to some of these little organizations could be very helpful and unifying. And so I'm just throwing it out, not something to act on right now, but it seemed like a wonderful outgrowth of the resource guide and something that we could do that would help to strengthen this community of informal food producers that we have here. So that's just for the future to talk about.
That's a really cool idea. If you start at least with a list of these, I can add them, make a link on our resource guide or an additional handout or something, some way to get that out there. And if you send their info to Maria as well, she can put them in our BDNA Facebook group, which is live and active. So great. Anything else on that, Stephanie?
No, that's all. I'm falling silent now.
Board members, anything else that you would like to bring up this evening?
Chelsea, I just have one quick thing about and I think I've updated before, but the Portland Area CSA Coalition, which is now the Pacific Northwest CSA Coalition, I've stepped down as the board chair of that organization, but I'm maintaining my staff. I'm now a staff member there, and my job is essentially this partnership with the Brentwood-Darlington neighborhood to do this this project in the neighborhood around equity and food justice. And we kind of got derailed on that project because of COVID, but we got permission from the U.S. Department of Ag to extend that into next year. So all of that programming will happen in 2021 instead of 2020. So that's a big project that will be coming up next year in the neighborhood that we'll continue to work on as we go. So.
And so what will the project consist of? What do you intend to do? I'm sorry, I know you've told us once and I forgot, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so it's a project around access, and it's kind of components. One part is educating neighbors about community supported agriculture and ways to get involved and how you can buy shares. And we happen to have two or three really excellent CSA programs located in our neighborhood. And so there's a partnership with the farmers. So Black Futures Farm has been involved since the beginning. And it kind of includes cooking courses and stuff in partnership with them. So there's a component around teaching people how to cook seasonally. Then the other aspect was all of this programming accumulated into this thing that we were calling Summer Festival, which
right. Okay.
was meant to showcase. It was meant to showcase all of the different projects that people are doing in the neighborhood around food and food access. And like my farm does a lot of plant sales, and Black Futures Farm does their CSA and Learning Gardens Lab, and the orchard and the community gardens and all that kind of stuff. And so that's the idea behind it. We just couldn't, with everything that happened, everything just got.
I remember the summer festival now, yeah, but much has happened that I just can't keep.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
But your list kind of plays into that, Stephanie, of those independent food producers that could be sources of information or sources of community agriculture. So they're complementary ideas.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Anything else, board members?
Well, just a comment relative to Shannon's announcement. With the TGM grant kicking into high gear, the planning for transportation and open space in Brentwood-Darlington and land use, we could, advise the TGM planners of all this sustainable agriculture in our neighborhood. I just want to keep reminding them not to pave us over, right? Because otherwise it all goes away. So if we could just keep reinforcing that message, I think it would be a wonderful opportunity before they get too far into their blueprint for our future.
That's right. And don't forget the right-of-way farming. We want to keep, it's going to be a long time before those gravel roads get paved. So I'd love to see those edges get used for something wonderful besides parking old cars on. Okay. So maybe the TGM people, what I'm saying is maybe the TGM people can help us move that idea along, as the liability being the biggest issue.
Excellent. All right. So we're going to be growing lots of stuff in the next couple of years.
Well, we hope so. We hope so.
All right. Any other things from board members and community members? If you had something, you thought of something, you've been waiting all night to say something, but haven't worked up the courage, now it's your moment. I know we're a pretty scary bunch here. I want to thank everybody for attending, and really want to thank, I'm going to holler out Maria here for helping be the co-host and managing the chat. And you guys don't know how much that helps because I'm already looking at way too many screens here. And remind everybody again that we'll be virtual until further notice, and everybody's welcome to join us. The only slide I wish I'd put up at the end here is a reminder that our all committees is also open to the public, and that is the third Tuesday of the month from 5 to 7 p.m. It's the only one that's a little earlier. We're trying to help folks with different schedules. And if you are into land use and transportation, you can send Stephanie your email address and subscribe to her amazing newsletter, or you can view her reports on our website. And you are also welcome to join the Land Use and Transportation Committee meetings, which are the second Thursday of the month, also virtually. Did I miss anything, anybody?
No.
Would you all like to get off of these really bright screens a little early?
All
right. I'm going to say good night to everyone. I'm going to
good night, everybody.
And I'll give everybody
Thank you.
to grab things they want from the chat. Have a
Thanks
good
a lot,
night. Thanks for
Chelsea.
coming.
Okay,
Bye,
bye-bye.
everyone.